everybody, Alonso Sanchez here, back with another bass tip. And it's less of a bass tip today, it's more of a conversation that I want to have with everybody out there, anybody who's watching. And it's about the beat. So what I mean by the beat, mainly the quarter note, right? Mainly the groove, I guess specifically the groove that rhythm section players keeps. And I'm gonna focus on the drummer and the bass player in a swing context, swing, jazz, straight ahead. So I have this conversation a lot with a lot of drummers and a lot of bass players, and it's about where we put the beat, right? So I used to have this teacher who was the jazz director at my college, San Jose State, Dr. Aaron Linkton, and he always gave an example of, imagine this is the beat, right? This is in front of the beat, and this is behind the beat, right? So he always said the bass player should always be just a little bit ahead of the beat, right? And he said the drummer should always be as close to the beat as possible, or just a little bit back, but not too much, right? So bass player, a little bit ahead of the beat, drummer on the beat as close as possible, or if not, just a little bit back, right? So what does that do, right? When the bass player is pushing, it kind of gives that drive, right? Like that nice pushy kind of swing to it. When the drummer is pushing, it makes things rush a lot, right? So why doesn't it feel like when the bass player is pushing? Why doesn't it feel like it rushes? It can. A bad, not a bad bass player, but I guess an inexperienced bass player, he could be playing on top of the beat, and he can push so much that everybody just goes on with him, and it rushes, and you start from, and you go next chorus and next chorus and next chorus, right? But a good bass player knows exactly where the beat is, right? This is the beat, and he is very conscious that he's pushing it, right? So a good bass player knows that, and he'll still be on time, right? So he'll still feel the quarter note. But he'll slightly be ahead of it. And one of the most interesting theories that I've heard as to why that is, I was talking to a friend here in Mexico City, a great drummer, and he was telling me, I don't remember who the bass player was, a local cat here, but he was saying the instrument is so big, I mean, it's physically huge, right? And the sound box, the actual body, is so big that by the moment that I attack a note, it takes some time for it to bounce from the body back out, right? It takes maybe a millisecond or whatever, right? But that's why bass players are always just a little bit ahead, or like good bass players try and be a little bit ahead of the beat, right? Because the time that I pluck a note, bounces, comes out into the world, I guess, it takes some time, right? So we kind of have to make up for it by pushing the beat a little bit. So that's the bass player's job, right? Now the drummers, right? They, again, right, there's the beat. They have to be on the beat or a little bit behind, right? So on the beat is easy, well, I wouldn't say it's easy, right? But it's a little bit easier concept to understand, right? Metronomic, right? You put in a metronome, you're on the beat. A little bit behind the beat is something that we associate with like soloists, right? Sax players, piano players, they kind of lay back the beat, right? So I'm going. Feel when I'm laying it back, right? Or at least I hope. So okay, right, laying the behind the beat, that's kind of like a soloist thing, right? Well, it can also be a time thing, right? And it's not dragging, it's just kind of laying it back just a tad. And what that does, it kind of counteracts the pushing from the bass player. So it kind of pulls the beat, right? Kind of like a book, right? It pulls the beat just a little bit, right, to its right amount, and it gives the soloist kind of an area of where to play. So I thought, right on, that's cool, right? Now, when the drummer is right on the beat, it kind of gives a little bit less of that space. But what you definitely do not want is two people that always play on top of the beat. That is always really hard because it's gonna inevitably rush. There's nothing wrong with rushing, right? All good music speeds up, right? That's a quote. I don't remember who said that, but I agree, right? I think good music kind of has an edge to it, but I definitely think that job is the bass players, right? To kind of keep that edge, and I think the drummer should try to be on the beat as much as possible, or just a little bit behind. With that being said, I also think one thing is really important is to be confident of where you put your beat. So say, for example, this happens to me a bunch of times. I'm playing at a jam session and young drummer comes in to sit in, good drummer. And let's say we've never played before, or we've only played a handful of times and it's only been on jam scenarios. He's gonna hear me be, and he's, relatively new drummer, or like has been around, but let's say he's hearing me push the beat a little bit. His first instinct is to pull back, right? Now what that does is, again, right, what we talked about. That's his first instinct, right? Pull back just a little bit. And then his second instinct is, okay, I'm gonna be right on the beat. Pull back again. Right on the beat again. And then on top of the beat with me. Do not do that. I guarantee you that is the fastest way for anybody to feel uncomfortable with your time. What you want to do is commit. You sit into the jam session, right? You're playing with a bass player that you've never played before, and what you have to do is you just gotta commit. You listen to the bass player. You can, and even if you have to take like a second, right, of just 2 and 4, no rider or brushes, just 2 and 4 on the hi-hat, and listen to where his beat is. Or if you're really good, you can do that while playing. You can decide what you're gonna do. You're either gonna be on the beat, on top of the beat with him, hopefully not, but if you do, you better have really good time, or laying back just a little bit. Now, once you make that decision, you commit. You commit to the end. And somebody, the bass player, is probably going to turn around and look at you like, like, what are you doing? Or he's going to turn around and look at you like, all right? Or he's going to turn around and look at you like, But just commit. And that is the most important thing that you got to learn, is you have to make a decision, you gotta stick to it, and you gotta see it through. That's just how it is. I mean, and then at the end, you guys can catch up. You can talk to the bass player. Hey, I noticed you were playing on top of the beat, or the other way around. Bass player can go to the drummer. Hey, I noticed you were playing on top of the beat, or you were playing behind, or you were right on the beat, and it felt so great. But you just commit, because the moment that you don't commit, and it's like anything in life. That's why I really like jazz. It's an analogy to life, right? You make a decision, you commit to it, you see it through, and then you learn from it, right? Same thing with this, right? But there's nothing worse than, and it just happened to me a while back, where it was like, and I wasn't mad at the drummer or anything. I could just tell that he was having some issues understanding where the beat was and how I played and what he should do. And he came up to me and he asked me like, hey, I want to talk to you about this. And we talked about what I'm saying in this video. So yeah, that's what I think, right? Bass player on top of the beat just a little bit. Drummer on the beat or slightly behind, gives it a nice little opening for the soloist, right? And whatever you're gonna do, you gotta commit. I think there's no way around it. So yeah, if you have any comments on that, or if you have any questions, Feel free to join the conversation. Drop it in the comments down below. Feel free to subscribe, like the video. Really appreciate all the support. See you in the next one.